Little Lorraine was a movie I had no plans seeing at TIFF last year until I found out Josh's friend and cinematographer Savon Masters Johnson was actually a set dresser for the movie, so out of solidarity alone, we had to check it out. Even if it meant sitting in the very, very, very front row. But on the plus side, sitting in the front row can have its benefits now and then. And after months of hunching over editing these videos, I think I finally straightened my neck and spine out, so I guess this movie helped. Loosely based on true events, Little Lorraine stars Stephen Amell, Joshua Close, and Stephen Lund as coal miners in late 80s Nova Scotia who lose their jobs after their mines destroyed. With no other options, Amell's estranged uncle Huey, Stephen McHattie, offers them work as lobster fishermen, only for it to partly be a smuggling operation that, despite all three of them being ashamed of it, each struggle to justify the money that puts food on their tables and the moral costs that come with it. It's a simple story with potential for complex character drama and moral dilemmas. And there are times when the movie taps into these themes effectively, especially for the performances where every actor takes these two-dimensional tropes we've seen in a million other crime dramas and portray them like regular people we hang out with at work or the bar. Even if they don't have that many scenes together, this cast has genuine chemistry, and they're each given individual moments to show the inner turmoil they're experiencing. I will admit their Nova Scotian accents threw me off a little initially. I only know a couple people from Nova Scotia personally, but they didn't speak the way they do in this movie, where it mostly sounds Canadian but certain enunciations were kinda Irish, but an audience member at the Q&A actually called their accents spot on, and Stephen Amell even mentioned being intimidated by their dialect coach, to the point where the 1 or 2 days she wasn't on set, those scenes weren't in the final cut, so I'll just have to take their word for it. And I also gotta give major credit to making Nova Scotia look gritty yet beautiful, where the handheld camera work, Savon and company's set decoration filled with era-appropriate props that were nostalgic to see, and the soundtrack, the folk pub music was just catchy as hell to listen to, and provided to a lot of the atmosphere. I'm not gonna say this is a career-changing performance or shows any Oscar-worthy versatility, but out of all his post-era work, Stephen Amell does his best here. He has to have the most range in the cast where he starts off a sober, morally strict man so disgusted to be forced into this operation, but quickly convinces himself it's the only way he can provide for his family, to the point where once his friends become more guilty, less reliable, he feels compelled to keep them in line for his uncle, abandoning his principles in the process. And of all the side heroes, for lack of a better term, Joshua Close gets the most to work with, as we actually see him guilt-ridden in a way where everyone's worried about him and the paranoia that comes with it, wondering whether someone might snitch on him. But easily the best actor in this, by far, is Stephen McHattie as the villain, who carries this entire movie on his shoulders. McHattie's facial expressions, body language, and line delivery portrays a man we've all met in our lives who comes off eccentric, classy, and crotchety all at once, which makes him a simultaneously charming yet gross, intimidating friend. I won't lie, his age makes him a little hard sometimes to buy as a physical threat to these guys, but he does have a couple speeches where he justifies the crimes he commits that I won't spoil, but uses in a way that convincingly guilts people into following his orders when they really don't have to. It explains without excusing why good people turn to crime. All that being said, for every actor that makes this a grounded, character-based crime drama, there's another who feels either out of place or just completely underutilized. The first half hour is gritty in tone and plot, but when Interpol officer Jay Balvin and town sheriff Matt Walsh are introduced, their scenes together felt more like a CBC sitcom where name pronunciations are a source of lame comedy and there's seriously a running gag about Canadian versus Colombian coffee, as if there's seriously any competition there. And once they interact with the fishermen, it's like those scenes never happened, almost as if someone sat on the clicker midway through and changed the channel back. Sean Astin especially should have been in this way more than he was, and if that's why he was in the opening speech but left before the Q&A, I wouldn't blame him. It probably wasn't, but still. He's the town preacher who allegedly grew up with these guys according to some lazy exposition, but we barely see them interact, which is a real shame. There are scenes of them seeking spiritual guidance where his words of wisdom and even seeing him struggle holding his tongue of their crimes because it's his sworn duty could be really interesting. If there was time devoted to that, because every time they go to confessional or cross paths with him, his scenes are cut short as soon as they're introduced. And that's really the problem with Little Lorraine. The editing and pacing really cut down on how much we're given to care for these characters. There's entire subplots like one of the fishermen becoming addicted to the very stuff they're smuggling that, again, could have been intense but comes out of nowhere halfway through and is forgotten as quickly. Or how Stephen Amell's wife struggles to make money that you think is going to be a bigger deal that's only mentioned twice. Hell, I forgot about the mining incident that put him out of work to start with until Amell had a recurring nightmare where the friend of his who died was a part of it. Though I will say, even though Auden Thornton comes in and out of the movie as Amell's wife so often she would have been forgettable, she's given a really decent final monologue and one of the most unexpected endings I've seen in a long time, where, long story short, she has to share the moral conflict her husband has in a debatably worse way, where it changed my perspective on the movie for the better. In fact, without getting into specifics, the only known things about this true event is that the people in this town were smuggling, and that's it. And again, without spoiling anything, the ending makes this entire movie seem fictional and only raises the intrigue and mystery of the real-life events even further. I recommend people go see the movie just for that alone, and in all honesty, if you just want an average crime drama, the acting, the style, and the fictional intrigue surrounding these real-life events are enough for me to recommend, but a part of me can't help but point out that had certain actors been given more to chew on, it would have made for a more impactful story. And with that, guys, thanks as always for watching. I know I've been gone for a while, and if I'm a little rusty in this video, I've had other projects to work on, but in any case, let me know in the comments below what you think of Little Lorraine. Be sure to like, subscribe, check me out on Patreon and buy me a coffee, and I'll see you all in the next review. Take care.